Hi everyone, and in this video today I'm going to be talking about some of the things I would tell someone else with tics or Tourette's. Now the first thing is obviously you're allowed to tic loud and proud, because suppression can make things worse. When we suppress, it's very uncomfortable and can actually lead to rebounds later on, which can include more severe tics, even escalating to tic attacks. It can also worsen OCD and trigger rage attacks, so suppression is never something I'd recommend. So growing in confidence to be able to go out and tic can be really, really helpful. And I think what's helped me with that is just knowing that other people's reactions to my tics are just reflecting their own misunderstanding, and they actually have nothing to do with me, because I know that I haven't done anything wrong. This is a condition, and you know, nobody should have to suppress for others to the detriment of their own well-being. So I think just knowing that what other people do has nothing to do with me because I can't help it. And also going out with a card. I have one in my college bag that's just, it's one I made on my own. It says like, I have Tourette's and stuff, but you can also buy them online or print them, and that could be really helpful because if anybody says anything or asks what are you doing, you can just show them that and it's easier to explain. Another thing is sometimes when you have a condition like Tourette's or any of the co-occurring issues, we can feel quite misunderstood, and feeling misunderstood can hurt sometimes because we all want to have a connection with others, but sometimes when we feel misunderstood, we feel like we don't have that connection. And sometimes it just helps to remember that, you know, so people are unlikely to understand what they haven't been through themselves. I think the point is, people should be understanding even if they don't understand. So they might not know about the condition stuff, but people should still be understanding. But I think that sometimes you can have a different perspective on that and know that if I'm misunderstood, it's okay. I know myself. I know what works for me. It doesn't matter what other people think because I know I'm doing what's right for me. I know I can't help this. I know this is a condition and stuff like that. And then with that, just also sometimes being different, because if you're misunderstood, it means you're seen as different in some way, but that can be a good thing because you have a unique perspective on the world and you can give something to the world that other people don't have, and you know, stuff like that. Being different can have strengths as well. And I just think that sometimes when we fear being misunderstood, we can become quite defensive, and that's different from sticking up for yourself. You should always stick up for yourself. But if you're defensive in the sense that you get very anxious and angry if people don't understand, then it can help to, you know, work on that. But obviously forgive yourself if you do that, because I've done that many times. Like, I've got angry at people for saying things, but then I guess you have to remember that other people might not know what Tourette's is or what tics are. So it can sort of help explain it in a more articulate way as well. The next one. Keep searching for things that work for you. When you have tics or Tourette's, it can sometimes be horrible to live with. It can be difficult because the tics can be painful, they can be annoying to you, they can be uncomfortable, and you might not feel like you can find anything that helps. But different things work for different people, so there are one person may find something helps, it doesn't help you, and stuff like that. So I think just by trying different things, maybe Epsom magnesium salt baths, chewing gum to help with vocal tics. Obviously don't do that if you have breathing tics. Having a hobby like dance or music or sport, that helps some people. Being absorbed and focusing on things, like these little things that help people manage. You can keep trying and seeing if there's something that works for you, and you know that can be helpful. If you're having a bad tic day, you know what helps, you can go and do that. The next one I want to say is this isn't your fault and you haven't done anything wrong. And I think this is important to say because, for example, with rage attacks, which are common in Tourette's and PANDAS and PANS, with rage attacks, people might feel quite remorseful afterwards. People might believe that they're naughty, they're mean, or they're bad. But that's far from the truth. These people can't control this. And I think that, you know, by having that understanding of yourself, you know that this is just a struggle you have and you're not a bad person. And also with your tics as well, your tics aren't your fault, obviously, and you don't need to feel guilty for it or anything. And also you're not faking it. I think this is an important thing to say because I've had this a lot myself, and I've heard other people have it as well, but where our mind's going like, well, we know we're not faking it, but we might be in a way. I made a video on this called Overcoming Self-Doubt in Tourette's, but it's where you kind of worry that you're faking it and you're not sure. And that actually happens quite a lot. And actually knowing that other people have it helped me overcome that, because I know that that's just a thought now. But yes, and it's also knowing that if you're worried you're faking it, then you're most likely not, because a person who's faking it wouldn't care. I think that's an important thing to say as well. But yes. Next one is meet others in the community. This is a big one, because going to support groups and weekenders has changed my life more than anything, because I have learnt about new ways to manage the condition, which has changed my life. I've met some of the best friends I've ever met, and they've again changed my life more than anything. I have learnt so much about my condition. I remember the first time going to one of the events, I was like, because I, with my food dye sensitivity and stimming and stuff, there were other people talking about food dye sensitivity and stimming. I was like, I'm not the only one with this. So it really helps to be able to relate to others and also share your experiences and learn from each other. That's something I'd really recommend, like meeting others and having friends with the condition as well. Helps you feel a lot less alone, and that's very helpful. The next one I would say is actually research your condition. Of course, like researching tics can sometimes make you tic more, but sometimes researching ways to manage it, again, it can help you. Researching the symptoms helps you understand yourself, and also it's easier to explain it to others when you research it yourself as well. Because that's something I used to do. I used to research a lot, and researching is, when I was like 12 years old, I went in the school library and just started printing stuff on Tourette's. And that's what helped me realise, first of all, my rage attacks don't make me a bad person, and second of all, I can't help this, so I don't need to suppress. So the research that you do yourself can really help. But yes, the next one is, it can really help to keep growing in confidence and telling others. And that's easier said than done, because I didn't used to want people to know about my condition when I was younger. I didn't want my extended family or teachers to know. It's only when I got to around 11 or 12 years old that I started letting people know about it. But I think it's important to know that there's nothing to be ashamed of, and sometimes you might feel embarrassed ticking in front of others, but you know, it's just like breathing in a way. Obviously it's a bit more noticeable, but you know, tics to us, they're involuntary. That's why I say it's like that. So it's nothing really to be embarrassed about, and it's nothing wrong with you as a person. There's actually a lot of people out there with tics, you know. I think 1 in 100 people have Tourette's, 1 in 200 have PANDAS and PANS. So there are actually so many people out there with tics, and so you're, again, definitely not the only one. And it's not something that you need to hide or anything. And telling others can actually be quite freeing. Sometimes you might not feel comfortable opening up about it with certain people, and that's completely fine. But then sometimes if you're in school, you know, explaining it to teachers might help, because they can give you support and obviously know that you can't help this. You're not doing it on purpose. You're not trying to interrupt the class or anything, but that can really help. And talk to your friends as well can help them understand what's happening with you as well. So I think that growing in confidence and telling others can be beneficial, but do it in your own time, because again, it does take time to get to that level of self-acceptance that you can share with others. And some people find it useful to do like an assembly to their school as well, or even to their class. It can be daunting, but I found that when I did an assembly, at first everyone was laughing, and by the end they're actually taking it really seriously, because I actually shared, this is what Tourette's is, and this is what tics are. It's not what you think it is. So yeah. The next one is, just remember how resilient you are. Having Tourette's or a tic disorder, or PANS or PANDAS or anything like that, you have overcome a lot, and that's something worth celebrating. You know, you go through so much, and you're so strong and courageous, and you get through things that other people might not. And when you do things like daily tasks, you're probably working so much harder than anyone else. For example, you know, try and focus on doing work whilst constantly ticking, and your attention span cuts out. You feel understimulated and overstimulated at the same time with intrusive thoughts and stuff. That's the sort of thing people with conditions like Tourette's or PANDAS, PANS, tic disorders go through every day. You're working a lot harder than other people, and you can take credit for that and just know that you are trying your best, and that is amazing. And don't hold yourself to neurotypical standards. I talk about this a lot, but yes, just accept that you are doing the best you can. The next one is around identity in Tourette's. Now, this is really interesting because I have friends who spoke about this as well, the identity and conditions and stuff. I think it definitely goes both ways. You either get help from not identifying with the condition, or you get help from identifying with it. It's really interesting. What I mean by that is, for me, for many years, I pretty much just identified with my Tourette's and tics and stuff. I pretty much classed myself as the girl with Tourette's and autism, and that's what some people knew me as well. And then I realised that description of me probably isn't the best, because I'm more than just Tourette's and autism and now PANDAS and everything. I'm a person. So I think that recently I've kind of put it into a logical way where I don't identify with my conditions. They're just something that I'm experiencing. But I say that because the way I put it logically in my mind is my Tourette's symptoms are caused by PANDAS, so that's autoimmune. Identifying with an autoimmune condition doesn't sound right to me, but then also identifying with a symptom doesn't sound right to me either. So that's kind of how I came out from identifying from it, and also just I would just say finding what you love as well, like, because you know, if you love doing something, then you're more likely to feel like that's a part of you in a way, and stuff like that. But also, as I said, it can go the other way around. Sometimes people are really insecure and anxious about talking about their condition. Sometimes claiming a Tourette identity, this is something my friend's gone on about. If she watches this, she'll know who I'm talking about. But claiming the Tourette identity can actually be empowering for some people, because it's sort of making you be like, yes, I have this and there's nothing wrong with that, it's completely fine. And that can actually be really empowering for some people. So I think it goes both ways, and you just find what works for you. Just know that, you know, you don't want to completely identify with the condition, but again, you can claim it and be empowered in that sense. Another one, be sure to open up if you are struggling. And again, easier said than done. A lot of people say they don't like to bother others, or they don't want to be a burden, and I can assure you that you're not, because the people close to you, I'm sure, just want to help. And even if the people close to you don't, there will be someone who wants to help, and asking for help is incredibly brave and courageous. And this is really important for the Tourette's community, because so many people with Tourette's commonly have things like OCD, depression, anxiety. They are very common co-occurring conditions, again, part of PANDAS and PANDAS as well. But I think that being able to open up to maybe a teacher or a friend or someone, or a parent, or just something like that, can be very, very beneficial for some people. And just knowing that it's okay, even if it's just messaging a friend, that's amazing if you can do that, because then you can get the support that you need and be met with empathy and compassion as well, which can really, really help. The next one is, again, remember that there are many others going through the same sort of thing as you. This is an experience that you're all having. You can get through it together, share your experiences, know that you are growing as a person from it, and that, you know, that it's a journey. It's interesting having like Tourette's, PANDAS. It's interesting to say the least, but it's a journey, and you're not the only one. So we can all get through the struggles and stuff. Also, another one, if you have coprolalia, it doesn't mean you're a bad person at all. I've seen this before. People worrying that their coprolalia, which, if you don't know, coprolalia is inappropriate, obscene, swearing tics and other inappropriate tics, like yelling bomb in an airport, for example, stuff like that. I think it's important to know that that's nothing about you as a person. Some people worry that it might be something to do with their subconscious seeping out, but I can assure you that it's not. It's basically just that anything that we shouldn't say, we say, or anything that we deem is, I guess, dark or vulgar, it will all come out, and we don't want it to, of course. It's completely unintentional. But I think for us, it's important to know that this isn't who we are. We're obviously not choosing to say this. I think we have to remind ourselves of that. We're not a monster because we can't stop what we're saying. Same goes for intrusive thoughts. A lot of people have intrusive thoughts. They're ego-dystonic, so they're what you're most against. The next one, everyone in the Tourette's, tic disorders, PANDAS and PANS community is very diverse. None of these things affect anyone in exactly the same way. And that's why you don't have to compare yourself to others with different conditions, and just get to know yourself. And the last thing is, you know, having a condition, it doesn't have to stop you doing what you want to do. And what I mean by that is, when I was younger, I didn't have much confidence in how I was going to be when I grew up. I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I didn't know if I could, you know, find work and stuff. but things are becoming more inclusive thanks to people doing advocacy and thanks to people just being more accepting in general and inclusive. Therefore, with that, things are getting better and people can have the same equal chances. But then at the same time, also know that there's no need to feel guilty if your condition does stop you from doing something, because I've had that a lot where my PANDAS stops me from being able to do something that I feel like I should be doing. Quote marks on should, because society says we should be doing this, but sometimes you can't. But yeah, there's no need to feel guilty for that, because you are, again, doing the best you can. And if anyone else were going through what you went through, I don't think they'd be able to do certain ththings either, in the sense of struggling with certain things. But again, at the same time, it doesn't stop you from some things, because you can get the accommodations you need and stuff, but sometimes it's just important to know that you're trying your best, and if you struggle to do something, then that's okay. I think that level of self-acceptance is really important, and just knowing that what you do struggle with, what your limitations may be due to the condition, and just like not feeling guilty for that, not berating yourself or blaming yourself for it, but then also making sure knowing that you can go towards your goals, and you don't have to say I can't do this because of my condition if it's not actually the condition that's stopping you, but the belief due to your condition, if that makes sense. But yes, I think that's all I've got for now, and this is just some things I wanted to say. Also, I found I've got this little panda thing, which is cute. But yes, I really hope that this helps, and thank you for watching. Bye!